For this video here, we're just going to talk a bit about proportions on the torso just to help you out measuring, especially as we start to get into the 3 dimensions, right? So quick recap, we had our torso here. And usually how this is subdivided is, let's say this is a 1, right? This is a 1. This would be a 1.4, 1.3, so a bit bigger. And this one over here, it's a 0.9, right? 0.9. So this is to give you some proportions-ish. And when we transition to 3D, right? And by the way, this would be like between a 2 to a 1.8. So if you sum it up, it's like, if you divide this, it's like a 1, 1. This is a 1 as well, but then you can play around with dimensions depending on the needs of your character, right? And when we flip it around, and by around is, let's go into the 3 dimensions. We have our square, so a 1, a 1. This would be like a 2, right? So 1, it's a bit bigger. So 1.4, let's say. And this is a 0.9, right? 0.9. So these would be the proportions when looking at sideways. And then if I remember what it is, I will grab my red pen or the orange pen. Always, I would grab some pen that can draw. I have all the pens, but no pen writes. What is this? So I'm grabbing the brown pen and I'm drawing my rib cage from the side. Super cool. Then remember, we have the femur, the head of the femur here, and my recommendation is, so this is the rectangle that would make the hips, right? Femur in the middle. This head of the femur that then connects also here, but you just need to memorize this one and this one. And then I have my legs. Patella, which is the triangle. Of course, this part is facing outward. Yeah, something like this. Femur here. You can see I'm making corrections live as I draw, because this is, I'm talking while I'm drawing. But yeah, you see the different way the proportions play around here on the torso, and then I just added on the side the femur so that you can have a look at it here, because it's connecting here in the middle part of the box. If I were to continue my chest, my rib cage, I need to imagine here a middle part. This is where this hole here, it's where the neck would go, right? I made a terrible mistake here. So this is something that I can also discuss in terms of my limitations. Which is, and this goes into one key part of my theory when I'm drawing, is that I usually rely on an anchor point. And my anchor point, which is a term, I don't know where it came from. Maybe I said it first, or I don't know. But anchor point is, I start, let's say I have a big drawing, right? I have a big drawing that I'm drawing with a lot of characters. Usually I start, and I'll talk about this a bit in detail, but I start with, let's say, the head. I always start with the head. And then the head is my anchor point. Everything that I draw in the rest of the drawing is in relation to the head. So the proportion is everything. To this first head that I just drew, everything is done in relation to this. So because here I started actually with the torso, when it came time to go to the head, I fumbled very hard. The head should be here. Again, limitations, we all have them. So this is the correct box for the head, more or less. But this small video will just give you an idea on proportions. And fortunately for the arm, you already know how it goes. You have the ball joint here, all the way here into the middle part, and then here as well until this line. And you have your sideway character. And then one thing that you can do is then just try to flip it around. See if you can draw the same thing, but in reverse. This is a workout to the brain. So this was just a small video to focus on this part, on the measurements and proportions of the rib cage, which is very important. A couple of tips is that these numbers are not set in stone. Like I said before, you can change them, adjust them, play around with them. Additionally, very important is that traditionally, if you want to go for, and I say traditionally, if you want to go for a female character, you will go with a thinner rib cage. If you want to go for a masculine character, a slightly bigger rib cage. So you would adjust the numbers, but this is traditionally. Go with whatever you want to do. If you want to draw a female character with a big rib cage, go ahead. Same thing, a lot of bodies exist. This is more a standard measurement piece that I think just helps out for the beginner stage. But these numbers are meant to be played with regardless of the gender of the character. Just that traditionally you might see in some older books, they refer to a female character, smaller rib cage, masculine character, bigger rib cage. But those rules are meant to just, you can do whatever you want with them, play around with the measurements and apply them to whatever gender character you want to apply. There's really no correct way of doing this. For me, all I want is for my drawings to look cool, attractive, showcase where I've been. So yeah, I play around with those rules as well, as long as it serves the drawing and the story that I'm trying to tell. Yeah. One additional thing as well, since I'm on that front, is that traditionally as well, a female character would have a slightly bigger hip cage than a male character. But again, go around, play with that, play with those measurements. As I said, this side measurement here, usually it's a 1, and this one is this one is 0.9, right? But you can, let's say you can have a female character with a bigger sorry, let me get back to here. I meant this line here. This traditionally is a 2 or maybe 1.1, and the thing is that you would play with the length of this rib cage, right? Depending if the character has a rib cage, no. You would play with the length of this line over here, the length here. If you want a character with big hips or a character with smaller hips, you play around with that. Maybe you go for a 2.1, maybe you go for a 1.8, right? That means here that the hips are particularly bigger than standard, or you go here smaller than standard, and you play around with that. There's again no concrete rule to it for the measurement part. Yeah, try to work it into your own drawings as best as you can, but these are just some pointers for a basic standard character that you then can play around with. Okay, this was a bit of an aside. See you on the next video.